The U.S. government has called for the retirement of the B-83 nuclear weapon, but nuclear experts say its most destructive parts will live on indefinitely in one form or another. Do you know what happens when old atomic bombs are retired? Last month, the Biden administration announced its intention to withdraw the nation's most powerful weapon from the U.S. nuclear arsenal. The bomb is called the B-83. It is a hydrogen bomb that debuted in 1983, a time when President Reagan was denouncing Russia as an evil empire. The government made 660 units of the deadly weapon, which were to be delivered by fast air bombers. The B-83 was 12 feet long, had fins, and packed a brute explosive force roughly 80 times greater than that of the Hiroshima bomb. Its job was to obliterate hardened military sites and command bunkers, including Moscow's. So what now for the B-83? How many of them still exist is a federal secret, but not the weapon's likely fate, which may surprise anyone who assumes that getting rid of a nuclear weapon means that it vanishes from the face of the earth. Typically, nuclear arms retired from the U.S. arsenal are not melted down, pulverized, crushed, buried, or even destroyed. Instead, they are painstakingly disassembled, and their parts, including their deadly plutonium cores, are kept in a maze of bunkers and warehouses across the United States. Any individual facility within this enormous complex can act as a kind of used parts superstore from which new weapons can and have emerged. It's like a giant Safeway. You go in with a barcode and get what you need, as quoted by Hans M. Christensen, who is the director of the Nuclear Information Project at the Federation of American Scientists, a private research group in Washington. To replace the B-83, one weapon that United States nuclear planners want to make from recycled parts and designs is the W-93, billed as the first new warhead for the nation's nuclear arsenal since the Cold War. The Biden administration announced the weapon's birth in March and estimated it would cost up to $15.5 billion. The finished warhead would be equipped in submarine missiles starting in or around 2034. Despite its description as new, the official government plan states that the weapon will be anchored on previously tested nuclear components, not new explosive parts. It's bizarre how these things cycle around. It's nuclear whack-a-mole. You get rid of one, and another pops up. Mr. Christensen said, "The recycling has no direct bearing on the overall size of the nation's nuclear arsenal, as the reused explosive parts are often employed for making replacement weapons, not new ones. That's the case with the W-93, which is going to replace or supplement old submarine warheads. Even so, such recycling makes the Arms Control Association furious. They've long argued that other nations view the storage of explosive weapon parts as a sign that the United States wants the option to make swarms of new warheads. That perception can fuel new arms races and nuclear proliferation. Getting rid of the B-83 warheads would be a good thing. It would signal that we have no expectation of rebuilding our arsenal," said Frank Hipple, a nuclear physicist who advised the Clinton White House and now teaches at Princeton University. Beyond the weapon debate, critics of the atomic recycling warn that the nuclear storage complexes across the United States is a disaster waiting to happen. It has a long history of accidents, safety lapses, and security failures, which may lead to a nuclear catastrophe. The plutonium cores of retired hydrogen bombs are of particular concern, roughly the size of a grapefruit. These cores are usually referred to as pits. The United States now has at least 20,000 pits in storage. They're kept at a sprawling plant in the Texas Panhandle known as Pantex. Plutonium is deadly to humans, even in tiny amounts, and that greatly complicates its safekeeping. If recycled, pits from the B-83 bombs would enter plutonium bunkers at Pantex that are already overcrowded and overtaxed. Mr. Alvarez said that torrential rains in 2010 and 2017 flooded a major plutonium storage area at the Pantex site. Repairs of it cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The Clinton, Bush, and Obama administrations all made plans with costs in billions of dollars to get rid of excess plutonium stocks, which grew rapidly after the Cold War because of arms disassembly. But no strategy has so far succeeded. Early in 2022, the Republicans criticized the Biden administration's emerging plan to retire the powerful bomb, which they said was needed for targeting hard and deep-buried targets. But the Science Federation said that the Republicans were unlikely to succeed in saving the B-83 even after retaking the House, which gives them new clout in determining military budgets and priorities. The weapon, 4 decades after entering the U.S. arsenal, was more likely to start its afterlife in the storage maze. The Pentagon has given the old weapon no public support in keeping the B-83. Officials say that an overhaul meant to extend the weapon's life would be costly, and in any case would put bombers in jeopardy because they'd have to fly so close to targets. Newer arms use satellite guidance, so bombers can drop their weapons from afar. For instance, the B-61 Model 12 has a computer brain and 4 maneuverable fins that let it zero in on deeply buried targets, which was to be deployed in Europe late in 2022. It is a designated replacement for the B-83. And yes, its explosive parts come from the atomic recycling bin. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can stay updated on any news in the military world.